This is Alice. She's a textile designer and digital embroiderer. She lives in Cornwall and works from a studio based on a small farm near Redroof. She draws inspiration from the Cornish landscape, in particular the tin mines, as well as strong organic and structural forms, which help her produce sharp, sophisticated designs. As well as launching her own homeware and bag collections, she has collaborated on projects that include designs for silk bedding, handcrafted sandals and bridal gowns. And her work continues to push the boundary of traditional beadwork and digital embroidery. Today I chat with Alice about how she started, the importance of keeping it local, and the benefits collaborating can bring. I'm Mel Chadwick. This is Episode 5. Welcome to Creative Conversations. Hi guys, welcome to another Creative Conversation. Today I have the lovely Alice. Welcome, Alice.
Hello.
So let's get straight to it. What is it that you do?
I am a digital embroidery designer, so I make things pretty.
Lovely. And have you always had an interest in textiles?
No, funnily enough, I started off wanting to do a degree in chemistry. I took a year out and then I realised actually I could be doing something either I thought was academic or something I really enjoyed. And actually from then on I've kind of just gone with, if I'm having fun, go with it. So, yep, and then ended up in textiles.
So what did you do? What was your degree called?
My degree was textiles, so I specialised in embroidery, and so started off with hand embroidery, and I'd sort of been itching to get on the digital embroidery machine sort of since the beginning, and was introduced to it 6 weeks before I graduated, and then kind of have run away with it.
Yeah, because your work now, it's all based, isn't it, on the machine?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah, all digital. So the great thing is that because it is digital, actually I can do all the software plotting, and then basically USB it to the machine and then walk away.
Great.
Great.
So just describe to us what kind of ranges you do, what products do you do?
So I started out with soft furnishings. So I had a sort of, I was started off, someone suggested like, oh, if you make a cushion, I'll sell it for you. I was like, okay, great, that's lovely. Thinking I'd go into fashion first, but obviously not. So yeah, I started off with the cushions and then it's kind of expanded into lampshades and wall hangings and handbags now, and I'm actually bringing out a clutch bag collection this year,
wow.
which I'm really excited about. So yeah.
And also, do you do any kind of artworks like canvas works?
Yeah. So I've been sort of playing around with that idea this year. Sort of doing large scale sort of stretches and really working with the sort of 3D embroidery, sort of trying to get sort of working with, multiple layers and getting past the sort of what most people think of as traditional embroidery, like you said, sort of your granny's hanky.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So really my thing is making embroidery modern and sort of exciting to look at. So,
yeah, I mean, if we just look at this piece, it is incredible, and you wouldn't expect it to actually be embroidered. I mean, could you just talk us through the process?
Yeah, basically a layer of craft foam that I work with and then stitch over it, and because the stitch work is so dense, it actually peels itself away without leaving too much residue, and so it means to say that you can actually have multiple layers going up at once. So this is actually probably about 5 centimetres of stitch work in one go. So yeah, it's a good thing I have an industrial sewing machine.
Now, but it is incredible, and guys, if you ever get a chance to visit Alice's work in the flesh, I would suggest you do it, because you just wouldn't expect this to actually be all made from thread.
Yeah, you just want to touch it.
Yeah, you do. It is incredible. But let's talk about the machine. How, first of all, did you manage to acquire your machine? Because I'm guessing they're not cheap.
No, it's like buying a small house. So I won a certain amount of awards, which kind of set me up with. So when I graduated, I went to New Designers and won an award, which gave me the software that I needed, and then a 6-month loan on a tiny little sewing machine, digital embroidery machine. And I got to that point where I realised, okay, I could either go off into the big wide world and get myself a job, or I could, start freelancing. Why not? So the awards really helped up to that point. And then I also run crowdfunding, which was really interesting, because I was not expecting to get that much help, because obviously who wants to buy a massive sewing machine? And that was just phenomenal. The support that I had from that really just kind of kick-started, getting this beast.
And now you have it. And
yeah.
I think you've named it.
No, it's not. It's actually called Happy.
Oh, it is
called Happy.
The problem
is I refer to it as Happy all the time, and people are like, "Who are you talking about, Alice?" It's like, oh, the machine.
Yeah. Well, he is kind of like your studio buddy, isn't he?
He's my friend.
Well, that's really cool. Actually, you just talked about setting yourself up as a freelancer. Now, I know that you also did you get an Ipsy freelancer award?
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit about what that is?
So Ipsy are this really amazing sort of community that are there to support freelancers. They are they are your defence against the unknown, I guess. So they're there to support you, they're there to financially support you if you absolutely need it. So if you're having a lawsuit, heaven forbid, what happens, and things like that. And they're really phenomenal. And actually those are the guys that really set me up with this.
Yeah. It's not about the financial support, it's also about community, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. So they really, emotional support, I guess, is the biggest thing that you need when you're freelancing. And actually Ipsy and I'm part of a couple of other communities that are really amazing, actually having that support to just kind of go like, yeah, you are doing great, it's okay, you're having a crap day today, but you're fine. And actually you kind of need that when you're working by yourself, and especially I'm in the studio by myself. Actually I kind of need someone just to go, ooh, does anyone have any ideas of how I could display this, or things like that. So it's great. I
think you really do appreciate it, don't you? And especially if you're living quite remotely away from a big city, actually knowing you've got places where you can turn to and ask for help, or online communities where you can just say, look, what should I do, or give an opinion.
Help.
It is so important, isn't it?
And knowing that other people are going through that sort of stuff as well, actually, because it's so easy to look at social media and go, oh my goodness, they're amazing, they're doing so well. And actually the reality is we're all trying to work it out ourselves. And, if you've got that community to say, like, actually, we're all struggling and this is the way I got around it, maybe you could try that, then, it's great.
So I want to go back to your actual work. Could you just tell us, what influences it?
So I'm a big fan. Okay, it's a bit of a contradiction. I really like strong structural features in organic matter, so like plants and things like that. So really looking at cellular level and sort of rock structures. And I mean, recently it's all been about Cornish mining.
Oh wow.
Which is bizarre, because when you look at my work, it's very feminine and girly, and the items I was looking at was engineering and oil and cogs. So
it's amazing though how you've actually drawn on those kind of inspirations and then brought them into your work.
It's nice. It's interesting.
Talk us about how that process happens.
So really it starts off with drawing or painting or anything really to get you out and about. And Yeah, so that then, and then I sort of translate it into Photoshop or Illustrator, and then that goes into my digital software for the machine. And then, like I said, literally just USB it and sort of play around with the layering and things like that, and yeah, and then make it up into my products. So.
And you do you sew all of the items yourself, or do you outsource it?
So half and half. So I sew some if I'm having a particularly stressful day and I want to chill out with a bit of sewing. Yeah. But if not, I work with a lot of local makers, which is really nice. And actually, that's something that's really important to me, is working with your local community. And rather than, you know, it would be so much cheaper to ship everything off to China, especially with the embroidery, but actually the quality and, you know, the fact that you can help your neighbour means so much more to me than, you know, a quick buck. So yeah,
that's really interesting, and that's really good as well, isn't it, that we do support the community around us. That's cool. So, Alice, what else do you do alongside producing your products?
So I do a lot of sort of teaching and workshops, which is really fun. So I've actually got a workshop coming up called the Alice Bag, made by Alice. But yeah, which should be really exciting, and it's sort of something I'm just sort of getting into at the moment and sort of testing the water to see whether actually people like taking classes with me. So yeah, which is really nice, and I really love the fact that actually, you know, like I feel like it can be so secretive what you do, and actually I love being able to show people and teach people, and sort of, because that means the next person is going to be inspired by that, and then they're going to make something even better than you are. And so actually, you know, this whole sort of creative community is about supporting and really rejoicing in what other people can do. So yeah,
that's exciting. Will they come here for that workshop, or do you run it
Not here.
somewhere
So
else?
I work with a couple of quilt shops and sort of fabric shops, and sort of every now and then people do come in and sort of like mill about in the studio. But yeah, so nice.
Oh, cool. So that's good that you're able to kind of work with these other businesses, and also I guess help them as well, because you are actually making work, you know, that just fits with what they do and people can see and apply it.
Yeah, and try something new.
Yeah, definitely. Really good. So where do you see your business going in the next year?
Oh, if I'm totally honest, it's always, if I'm still stitching, if I'm still working, if I'm still sort of enjoying myself, that's where I'd like to be.
Yeah.
I think there's so much pressure to become the next big thing, but actually, if I'm still working, then I'm doing well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Definitely. Oh, one thing we haven't talked about: collaborations.
Oh yes,
So,
I'm a big fan.
please talk about some good collaborations you've had recently.
So recently I've been working with a shoe designer, which has been really exciting, sort of because I'm not fashion based actually, and I've been working with interiors for so long. It's really nice to see sort of your work that comes out and you can wear it and it's amazing. And yeah, and that was really, really exciting. So that was with a company called Complete. And then recently I've done a collaboration with Ginger Lily. So I was designing this sort of collection of sort of copper and navy blue, and it was really exciting, and we were going through all of this, and then they invited me up to an evening, and it was an open evening. I was like, oh great, yeah, I'd love to come. It'd be nice to see my stuff on display and with your other work and things like that. And so I I walked into the building and into the room, and I got smacked in the face with this sort of massive Harrods Art Partners sign. I thought, oh, rats, I'm in the wrong place. So I asked the lady, it's like, oh, do you know where I'm meant to be going? She goes, you're Alice Selwood, aren't you? I was like, yes. She goes, you're just around the corner. And I'm like, oh, Harrods. Cool! And it was in a room with sort of Dolce & Gabbana and Wedgwood and Missoni, and I'm just like going, really wish I'd brushed my hair for this.
That's so cool. So that's such a brilliant collaboration.
Yeah.
And how did that come about? It was just with the people that you said, Ginger
Lily. So funny enough, I was showing over in Falmouth on Falmouth Week with my work, and this lady came over and she goes, "Oh, I love your work, really interested." Turns out it was the owner of Ginger Lily, and she'd come down on holiday from London.
That's always the way everyone comes down on holiday,
and so
they?
that happens. So you don't need to live in London to get decent jobs.
No, that is very true. So you really enjoy doing collaborations then?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really nice working with other people, because actually you get to bounce off someone else and actually get that sort of, okay, so they want something slightly different than you do, so you get to learn a different technique or something else and experiment, and it really pushes you to be better than what you normally do. So
and also, does it mean that you produce a new collection from working with that person?
Yeah, definitely, because obviously, I mean, I'm inspired by Cornwall and what's around me, but actually someone else might be inspired by, I don't know, charcoal.
Yeah.
Who knows? And then something from that, like, you'll get something totally different out of it. So.
And it triggers something else, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And then you kind of have another sort of way of thinking, and it's great.
Brilliant.
So, if you're down in the dumps, go and collaborate with someone else.
Very true. Okay, Alice, final question. What advice would you give to someone starting out?
I think if you've got a really good support system, if you've kind of got the passion to keep going, actually just do what makes you happy. And that does sound really cheesy, but actually, you know, the reason we freelance is because we don't want to be doing anything else. This is what we want to do. We love designing, we love making. So actually, if it makes you happy, go for it.
Okay. Tip from Alice there, do what you love. So that brings us to the end of this creative conversation, guys. I hope you found it really interesting and inspiring. I will leave Alice's links all in the description box below. Please go and check them out. Go and see what she's producing. And if you have any questions for her, also leave them below as well. Until next time, guys, I'll see you again.
So the worst thing about these things is because you're staring at yourself going, you go, it's not okay. I got a spot.
To be honest, you know, whenever I have to do these things, there's always I always get breakouts, so it's just like, it just knows.
Oh yeah, it's just like any important event, or like if you've got a wedding to go to, it's just like,
yes, I know, it just comes out, and I'll just not talk about that. Let's not dwell on that. What's it doing now? Oh, it's just doing.
So this is my program where it's just putting in tabs that I know when to zip, and so that I can actually, and then this bit here, so that I can just cut straight across it.
This was Creative Conversations, and I'm Mel Chadwick.